So, hey guys, I just wanted to do a quick channel update, and I wanted to talk about, more importantly, about a subject that is very important to me, and it's really very important to the entire country. Quick channel update though first. So, I am currently working on my next video. It's going to be probably about as long as my Bruce Lee video, so it's going to take a while. This one I have more pride in, I suppose, is probably the best way to put it. It's going to be relatively research heavy. It's a lot of theory, and I'm trying to basically kind of refine my craft to make it so it's more that, one, to limit my run times, because I do realize I kind of get to like to be long-winded, but in the event that I have really long videos, to make those videos feel like they have a lot more content to kind of warrant it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I think the next video should be a real treat to people who are watching. Now on to the main reason why I'm actually recording this though. So December 14th is going to be the day that Ajit Pai and the FCC, the Trump administration's FCC, is going to be voting to roll back net neutrality. It's almost certainly going to happen. Ajit Pai was a former top lawyer at Verizon. He doesn't care about the fact that the FCC has received 22 million comments in regards to net neutrality. Many of those are in favor of net neutrality, and a lot of the ones that aren't in favor are suspected to be bots and many other things. And of course the FCC has refused to actually investigate this. There's a lot of shady stuff going around that comment process. There was a supposed denial of service attack that the FCC claimed happened, and that's being investigated as well because they have no proof that it happened. So, yeah, just a lot of shady stuff. And the reason why I'm talking about this, and the reason why I think everyone on YouTube, really anyone everywhere, but especially YouTubers, people who want to make their living on the internet, need to be talking about this, is because this really is going to destroy a lot of people's chances at that. So, for example, with me, I don't want to just be restricted to YouTube. I wanted, when I felt I had enough content, to be able to make my own website and go from there. Because I think that it's not good to have to rely on some big mega conglomerate like Google for pretty much my entire livelihood. Because, as we've seen, YouTube is not exactly well put together in terms of its algorithms, its advertising strategies, and all that stuff. So I want to be able to make my own website. Now the thing is that without net neutrality, I might be able to make my own website. Even that's really, I mean, I might be able to make it, but even the viability of just making it is kind of questionable at that point, because I probably will not be able to pay the fees that Comcast is going to charge to speed up or not throttle my net. So I guess to backtrack a bit, for those who don't know what net neutrality is, it's basically a rule that currently was officially set in place in 2015 when the Obama's FCC put the internet or ISPs under Title II, which means that they're utility companies basically. So they're treated like water, telephone, all that stuff. So they can't. They basically cannot favor who they're going to supply the internet to in any way. They have to just supply it to everyone equally. They can't say, oh, if Netflix pays us more money, we're going to speed up a connection to them, and if this random upstart can't afford to pay it, well, we'll just either throttle their internet or block them. They can't do that under the current rules. Now, with the repeal of net neutrality, they will be able to do that. And the thing is that while I think big companies like Netflix, Google affiliates, and of course the company itself, big companies like that are probably going to be fine, you're still going to front the cost for them. I suspect stuff like Netflix subscription charges are going to go up. We might even see something like YouTube being a paid subscription, because YouTube, if Comcast and these ISPs, internet service providers, are able to charge the money, they're going to do it. And I think it's a bit foolish to think someone like any big company is just going to front the bill for their consumers. They're going to in some way try to offset that new cost by putting that on consumers. And of course, that's going to destroy a lot of upstarts. A lot of upstarts cannot afford to pay those bills in order to make sure that their internet isn't completely terrible, running at like dial-up speeds. And even then, Comcast could just block. I mean, I keep saying Comcast because I think just Comcast is kind of like the face, but it's really a bunch of companies. Verizon, AT&T are like the big three doing this. But yeah, they could just choose, like, let's say I start my website and I post a video on there talking about net neutrality. And FCC has repealed Title II restrictions. There's no laws in place to defend net neutrality. Comcast could just literally shut down my website. I keep saying Comcast, but in any case, whatever internet service provider I have, or any internet service provider that somebody else has that's trying to access my site, could just literally shut it off. They wouldn't be able to access it because they don't want that information going to those people. And of course, that's dangerous for a democracy. We've come to the point in the human evolution that the internet is pretty much required for living. That's how we disseminate information. That's how we've democratized information. For better or for worse, too, because obviously it has led to the fact that stuff like fake news can be a thing. But that's also why this is so important, because this even affects right-wingers and people who would generally be politically against me, because they're going to shut them down too. The thing with big corporations is that they're all about maximizing profits. And if you think that they're going to side with, I don't know, Breitbart or something, when Breitbart releases some piece dissing Muslims when there's over 1 billion Muslims in the world, they're not going to side with them. They're going to go after Breitbart. They're going to go after these right-wing news sources. In fact, probably big name right-wing news sources might have the most to worry about it, because they're the people who are actually offending potential consumer bases of these ISPs. So it's important, and basically, so yeah, December 15th is going to be the date when they're going to vote on this. Likely it's going to get repealed. We'll see what happens in the courts. It's probably going to get challenged. I'm a bit concerned about the viability of that because, you know, Trump did just appoint Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court. I don't really trust anybody Trump appoints, and he doesn't really have a great history of siding with the little guy over corporations. So I have a bit of a, trying to think of the word. I don't feel great about the prospects for that, but we'll see. I think lower courts, it'll probably be better, but I think once the Supreme gets to the Supreme Court, there could be problems. So we'll see about that, but we got to do what we can. Gotta try to do what we can do to prevent it from happening in the first place. If we do put enough pressure, it has shown that it does get us results, such as with the healthcare votes. You think that if the public wasn't protesting that 100, like, all day, all night, making sure the GOP realized that if they passed this vote, there would be political suicide, that it wouldn't have happened, that the GOP would have just had, out of their goodness of their hearts, not pass stuff like the Cassidy bill. Like, yeah, it works to an extent. And we need to put pressure on these on the Congress, to put pressure on the FCC to make sure that they realize that if the FCC does this, that's also going to be political suicide for them, because it kind of will be. The public's not going to be happy. Right wing, left wing, moderate, anything is not going to be happy without net neutrality. I believe they recently did a poll. I can't remember the exact polling place, but I recall it was about 70% is in favor of it. So don't quote me, because I can't remember the actual thing, but it's very favored by the public. And yeah, so what you can do to try to help with this is there's a Battle for the Net. I will include a link in the description for that website. You can send in an email to Congress. They'll help you call Congress, to call your representative, and they'll give you a script to let them know that you support net neutrality. And that website also will let you know where local protests will be occurring, and I believe it was December 7th. At least up in Seattle, all the protests were happening by December 7th. So you can join those, make your voice known, make your showing up in numbers, and scare them. Don't that wasn't an advocation for violence, though. That wasn't me advocating for violence. I'm just saying show up in numbers and make them scared to piss off the public. And yeah, so call, go to Battle for the Net, send in emails, call, go to protests. And I mean, if you have your own channels or if you have any other avenue in which you can get your voice out, get your voice out. Obviously my channel's not very big at all, but I felt the need to do this because I think that this is important, and I really want to do what I can to make sure that we save net neutrality. So yeah, peace out and protest away.